So today I want to talk about something that I think every high school and uni student needs to hear. And that is, most of the studying that we do doesn't actually help us learn. You know that feeling when you're reading the same paragraph 3 times, underlining, circling, highlighting, or watching lectures on repeat, and then you get to the exam and realize none of it stuck? Yeah, I've been there too. Well, it turns out there's real science behind this. There's a book which I love called Make It Stick by Peter Brown, and it breaks down what actually works when it comes to learning, based on decades of research in psychology, neuroscience, and education. Today I want to go through those lessons and show you how real students, athletes, pilots, and medical trainees use them to get better at what they do, and more importantly, how you can apply them to your own study routine starting today. So let's start with something simple. Our favorite study techniques, things like rereading notes, highlighting pages and pages worth of material, watching lectures over and over again, or copying notes word for word, they feel good because they're comfortable, and when there's no struggle, it tricks us into thinking we're learning. In Make It Stick, researchers gave 2 groups of students the same reading material. Group A reread the material multiple times, while Group B read the material once and tried to recall as much as they could from memory. Group A said they felt more prepared, but Group B scored significantly higher on tests. This is something most of us never get taught. Feeling like you know something is not the same as actually knowing it, and this is where the book's most powerful lesson starts. Retrieval practice, or as I like to call it, active recall, means actively bringing information to mind without looking at your notes or study material. It feels uncomfortable and it feels slower, but it builds real memory. One study in the book compared medical students who repeated reading the textbook versus those who took regular low-stakes quizzes. The quiz group retained far more information and performed better on exams, even though they spent less total time studying. Why? Because quizzes force your brain to work, and when your brain works harder, the learning becomes more durable. By far, the most popular way that students apply active recall is by making flashcards, either physical or electronic flashcards. And apps like Quizlet and Anki are built for this. But I know that not everyone wants to or has the time to make flashcards, and if that's you, that's completely fine. You can still apply active recall just by summarizing a few dot points about what you learned from a lecture from memory. It sounds simple and it takes 5 to 10 minutes at most, but actually does more than just passive reviewing. So if you are time poor, using a method like this will make your studying more effective. The next big idea in the book is spaced repetition. The idea of revisiting topics after some time has passed. Now, it might feel like forgetting is a bad thing, but Make It Stick explains that forgetting actually strengthens learning when you try to recall again. The book describes how airline pilots who spaced out their training sessions performed far better during real emergency simulations than pilots who crammed right before. Why? Because spacing forces your brain to rebuild the memory each time, which makes it stronger and more flexible. Think of it like building muscle. Doing 100 push-ups in one day doesn't make you strong, but doing 10 push-ups a day for 10 days does. Your brain works the same way. It grows through repeated small challenges, not one big effort. You can apply this by trying a simple schedule. So you learn about a topic or a concept on day 1. Then you might try to recall what you learnt the next day. Then on the 4th day, 7th day, 14th day, and 30th day, and so on and so forth. You'll find that you'll forget certain things, and that's completely okay because of the forgetting curve, a concept discovered by psychologist Hermann Ebbinghaus. It shows that after you learn something, your memory drops sharply at first, but every time you review and recall it, the curve becomes flatter and you forget less each time. In other words, reviewing right when you're about to forget creates the strongest learning. This is why apps like Anki are so powerful, because they automate spacing for you. Most of us do blocked practice. We work on one type of problem over and over. It feels organized, but the learning that we do is actually quite shallow, which leads us to the next idea, which is interleaving. Interleaving means mixing different types of questions or topics in one session. One of the more interesting studies in the book involved baseball players. Again, the researchers split them into 2 groups. Group A practiced hitting the same pitch repeatedly, while Group B got random pitches mixed unpredictably. Now, they noticed that Group B, the ones who had to constantly figure out which pitch was coming, improved far more. Why? Because they learned to recognize patterns, not just repeat motions. So when you're studying, Try to mix different topics together in a single study session so that you train your brain to answer different types of questions, one after another, which mimics what you would do during your exam. And interleaving does make your studying feel harder, but just remember that the gains that you get are much bigger. Another idea from the book is elaboration, or explaining concepts in your own words, using your own examples and linking them to what you already know. This transforms facts from random pieces into a connected understanding. The book shares a story of two pilot trainees. One memorized procedures word for word, while the other tried to understand why each step mattered. During simulation tests, the second pilot handled unexpected situations better because he understood the underlying principles, not just the steps. The key lesson here is that rote learning crumbles under pressure, while understanding survives. So the next time you study, try asking yourself, why does this happen? What would this look like in real life? How would I explain this to a friend? Because your brain remembers meaning, not just words. This might be the most important idea in the book. The authors talk about desirable difficulties, or situations where learning feels challenging but productive. When you struggle a little, but not too much, your brain builds stronger connections. In one study, students who had delayed feedback, tougher quizzes, and more effortful recall ended up learning more, even though they felt like they learned less. You probably experienced this. The nights where studying feels effortless usually lead to poor recall, and the nights where you struggle are the ones that stick. And lastly is the idea of frequent low-stakes testing. Testing isn't just to measure learning, it actually creates learning. In a case study to find out about the effect of regular testing, one group of students got weekly quizzes in a history class. The other group only had a mid-sem and final exam. Now, they found that the weekly quiz group scored higher, remembered more months later, and spent less time studying. Why? Because each quiz was a retrieval session baked directly into the course. And you don't need a teacher to do this. You can even create your own tests from your notes using some of the AI programs that are widely available. So if you're a student trying to get better grades, understand your subjects more deeply, or simply make your study time more efficient, these are the habits that matter. Don't reread. Instead, retrieve or recall. Don't cram. Instead, space it out. Don't block. Instead, mix it up. And lastly, don't memorize. Instead, explain. And if it feels a little difficult, that's a good sign. If this video helped, feel free to like the video, subscribe, and share it with someone who's trying to study smarter this year. I'll see you in the next one.